One of the major highlights of RSAC 2026 was PQC Palooza, a special and exclusive event focusing on post-quantum cryptography, sponsored by Thales. It took place on Wednesday, March 25th, 2026, at the Hyatt Regency Downtown Soma in San Francisco, with a galaxy of industry experts sharing their opinions and strategies for living and working in the post-quantum era. Our intrepid producer Liz Kelly was there to hear what the frontline experts had to say. I'm Steve Prentice with Liz Kelly, and this is the Thales Security Sessions podcast.
We're live from the Thales PQC Palooza, and I'm delighted to be joined by the godfather of the PQC Palooza, Blair Canavan, Director Alliances, PQC and PKI. Blair, thank you for joining us. So, PQC Palooza, what is it all about and why is it so important for our community?
Oh, that's a great question. And by the way, thanks for asking, because a lot of people don't even know what a Palooza is. The way to look at Palooza, just to get that out of the way, is it's just a very happy way of saying a get-together, something bigger than all of us. And so PQC Palooza was this stupid idea I had a few years ago, which was all these people at RSA, which is, as you know, traditionally a cryptographic conference. It's Reve, Shamir, and Edelman. That's what it stands for. It's been around for a long time. And I think this has been 25 plus years I've come to this event. But as we're shifting to post-quantum, there wasn't a lot of talk about this a few years ago. In fact, it was kind of subdued or not spoken because it really kind of predicts the next shift in cryptography. So what I thought we could do is bring some like-minded people, a consortium, a whole bunch of like-minded people, enthusiasts, experts, you name it, but coming together and talking about post-quantum cryptography and quantum computing in general. But coming together, the community, It Takes a Village was our first kick at this in 2023 with Wells Fargo and Peter Bordeaux, shout out, and many others. But this is basically the culmination of many years. And as you all know, we're getting pretty close to this event horizon, which is a cryptographically relevant quantum computer. And again, it couldn't be more important to have this village and this, again, group of wonderfully smart and talented people coming together.
So I'm joined now by Debbie Taylor-Moore of the Quantum Crunch. Debbie, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So with RSA spotlighting the power of community, how important is it to have cross-industry collaboration with vendors, governments, researchers in accelerating a secure transition to post-quantum cryptography?
Oh, I think it's extremely important. And I think for many years, the RSA conference itself hasn't spoken enough about this really important topic. I think that having forum like the PQC Palooza have been just extremely critical to continuing the education of all of the community, the cyber community, but also the vendors, the research folks, everybody who's a customer and who has to look at this migration and needs to collaborate. You're not going to be able to do it by yourself. It's going to take, a village. And I think that year over year, I'm frequently not excited about the attention to this track. So I'm so grateful that Thales puts in the time, the effort, the energy, the money to make this happen, an opportunity for all of us to convene. And this is the third one that I've attended. And, I look forward to it. It's actually sort of the highlight of the conference for me.
I'm joined by Ganesh Malia from AppViewX. So, Ganesh, AI is transforming everything across cybersecurity this year. And how do you see AI influencing PQC preparation, whether that be accelerating crypto analysis, helping organizations discover legacy crypto, or supporting large-scale cryptographic migration?
Right, AI and PQC transformation. Well, that's a perfect recipe for the whole PQC preparedness. When it comes to the whole PQC migration journey, there are like four phases of it. One is the crypto inventory, crypto discovery, the inventory, the intelligence part of it, and the crypto agility piece of it. Now, AI plays a huge role in all of this because not just it helps in allowing us to do the complete discovery, but it can allow and help us with the help of these tool sets where the assets are, who's the owner, and what's impact analysis of it. So it kind of builds you that intelligence around the complete impact of the whole crypto migration, from where to begin, how to prioritize, because not everything needs to be migrated in one go. So it helps you kind of do that preparedness with respect to prioritizing the crown jewels, deprioritizing what it does not need, and how to go about with respect to when you take the crown jewels, how to go about the migration journey as well, to kind of go through the crypto agility journey. So that's where I see the whole intelligence piece of AI is going to come into picture with respect to the PQC journey. And you can see a lot more examples of that in various commercial tools or open source tools which are actually adopting AIs and various LLMs to kind of do that particular preparedness for your PQC journey.
Thank you. Jordan Raki, CEO of Keyfactor. One of the biggest challenges discussed at PQC Palooza is simply knowing where vulnerable cryptography lives. How are you seeing organizations approach cryptographic discovery, inventory, and agility at the scale required for a post-quantum world?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me. At Keyfactor, we very much value the partnership with Thales. Cryptographic posture management is one of the hottest topics at the show this year, and rightfully so. Organizations have to think about, as they transform to a quantum resilient infrastructure, first of all, what do they have? And they need to be able to turn the lights on, see their inventory, and plan to transition away from vulnerable situations where you have, again, a cryptographic posture that just is not going to be ready for the quantum resilient era. So it's a hot topic. Partners like Thales, in partnership with us and Keyfactor, have the tools, the technology, and the services to help you through that transformation. And we're excited that it's like I said, a very hot topic at the show this year.
And AI is now transforming everything across cybersecurity. How do you see AI influencing PQC preparation, whether that be accelerating crypto analysis, helping organizations discover legacy crypto, or supporting large-scale cryptographic migration?
So first of all, the answer is yes. AI is going to do all of that. But as I think about AI and quantum, I really think of a double-edged sword. There's a lot of positives that come from AI. One of the negatives, though, at least in terms of organizational readiness, is that timelines are shrinking. The horizon to be prepared for quantum is shrinking, and AI is supporting, businesses and nation states to accelerate their timelines on building quantum computers, which in turn shorten the time frame to which you need to be prepared. On the flip side, on the other side of that sword, is that AI could help you accelerate your transformational journey. So partners like Thales and Keyfactor are working together, leveraging AI where it makes sense to help organizations through that transformational journey. But yes, AI is impacting quantum transformation, it's accelerating timelines, but it's also helping organizations transition more quickly as they get prepared for quantum.
Lakshmi Hanspal, Chief Trust Officer from DigiCert, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me here. It's great to be here.
A lot of the conversations at RSA this year have been about the urgency of post-quantum readiness. So from your perspective, how prepared do you think organizations really are for PQC migration, and what are the biggest gaps you're seeing as we move towards large-scale adoption?
So Liz, encryption in my mind is a technology that buys you time to be secure, because it's an algorithm, and algorithms can be broken into. Algorithms that we've had up to date, and I've been 30 years in the industry, have all served as well. They've bought us time with data, with our communication, and with answering the question, how can I trust what I'm doing today or what I'm interacting with today? So post-quantum crypto, which is the ability for quantum computers to break existing algorithms, means that we need newer algorithms. And the gap that I see with people is where they think they have the time, which is like 7 to 8 years, versus the shrinking window, which is nobody can predict, but I'm predicting a couple of years or even less. So that's the gap today, what you think you have versus what in reality you do have. So the preparedness is not about a single day, it's a Y2K without a date. So it's about now. How are we enabling ourselves now to be post-quantum ready with the algorithms that we mathematically proven and believe today can withstand a quantum compute mechanism, and they're available today, and then having them as part of the entire cryptographic assets and ecosystems that we have. And this is not about doing it once and then sitting back. It's about crypto agility, the ability to do it again and again as algorithms get proven to be effective or ineffective.
Mike Nelson, Field CTO at DigiCert. One of the biggest challenges that we're discussing at Palooza this year is simply knowing where vulnerable cryptography lives. So how are you seeing organizations approach cryptographic discovery, inventory, and agility at the scale required for a post-quantum world?
It's a great question, and it's complicated. Cryptography really is embedded in the deepest layers of all of the applications and systems that we use, and so discovering it and managing it can become really complex. But discovery, to your point, you said of the approaches, discovery is the first one that you mentioned. And discovery becomes the most critical starting point for organizations. I have CISOs and hear them say all the time, I can't manage what I don't know and what I don't see. And so organizations, the first thing that needs to happen is really a very thorough approach of going and discovering all the cryptography in their organization, making sure when we say all of it, really discovering all of it, and bringing it into a centralized platform where it could then be managed. You can't manage and automate if you don't know where it is. And so that really is the first point. And we see organizations right now spending a lot of time and resource to really enhance the way they're managing. The days of using Excel spreadsheets and legacy technology just don't work anymore because the number of certificates, the complexity of them, they're embedded in the deepest parts of systems, and so we really need to begin automating better management, but you need full inventory to be able to adequately wrap your fingers around that and adequately manage it.
We're delighted to be joined by Robert Burns, Chief Security Officer at Thales. So AI is transforming everything across cybersecurity this year. How do you see AI influencing PQC preparation, whether that be accelerating crypto analysis, helping organizations discover legacy crypto, or supporting large-scale cryptographic migration?
So that's a great question. So how is AI influencing the journey of post-quantum for a lot of organizations, including our own? I kind of see it in two main areas. I think one is that AI assistants are very good consultants in helping people dissect the ways to approach it and to go at it, and they provide good pointers, so it's a good sort of interesting way to get advice. And secondly, and more importantly, what I see now is through coding assistants and through that technology, what we're seeing is that it's very easy to have those assistants and agents point them to using quantum safe cryptography as a default mechanism coming out of the gate. So that way, the new stuff that's being built is being built with quantum safe crypto native from day one.
I'm thrilled to have Seth Nelson, CEO of Collective Insights, with me live here at PQC Palooza. So, Seth, the recently released 2026 Thales Data Threat Report shows that only 34% of organizations know where all their data resides, and just 39% can fully classify it. So, given these visibility gaps, in your opinion, what must organizations do first to ensure they don't carry unknown vulnerabilities into the post-quantum era?
Well, it's a great question, and the first thing that I would probably do would say that I believe that those numbers are high, and that really those should be considerably lower. We've always struggled in IT and security in ensuring that there was an accurate inventory of anything that needed to be secured, protected, or managed within the enterprise. And it has been an ongoing problem well before the consideration for securing, against a post-quantum threat. So first and foremost, I think those numbers are lower. Secondly, I would say that this is all about visibility. It's all about inventory, and so you have to enact, and get budget for an assessment phase to really determine all of the places where you're using cryptography. You really need a thorough map of what's in use, where it's being used, and how it's being used. And there are certainly plenty of vendors in the market that are trying to solve this issue, but we're coming from behind, because once we do that, then the real work starts to try to understand how to manage all of those pieces, then go into automation, and then go into really post-quantum readiness or flexibility to swap out your cryptography if and where needed.
We're back here on the RSA conference show floor, and I'm joined by Steve Takar from Quside. Steve, Harvest now, decrypt later has been identified as one of the biggest threats as we move towards the time when quantum supremacy is achieved. How can AI-enabled solutions help business mitigate this threat today, and what is a roadmap towards quantum-safe data?
Great question. Let me answer it in various parts because it's quite a big, all-encompassing subject matter. If you think about it, whenever there is a real paradigm shift in technology, there's usually an inflection point somewhere or other or not. The interesting thing with the quantum threat, the harvest now, decrypt later, is that it's been growing over time, and various nefarious means, actors, rogue nation states, etc., NGOs, governmental bodies, etc., are literally scraping and gathering our data by various means, and they are waiting for something called Q-Day, Quantum Day, but no one actually knows when that is. It's not like the Y2K where you have a definitive date, a definitive deadline, and the jeopardy is building up down there. So there's a lot of uncertainty. However, having said that, with the advent of AI, which has kind of come as a tsunami over the last 3 or 4 years or so, bringing that together with some of the finer computing components around quantum technology, we feel that there's some great synergy there, and that essentially, even though it kind of diverted attention from quantum, AI now is going to accelerate the quantum revolution, if nothing else. And they will accelerate the quantum revolution in terms of bringing the reality of harvest now, decrypt later nearer, but also the PQC solutions are being developed in real time as we speak, both, well, I suppose in hardware, but from an AI perspective, as much in software as well. So we, for example, at Quside will do quantum random number generation and have entropy, but we still need those PQC-enabled algorithms to actually make the world quantum safe, quantum resistant, and quantum secure.
I'm thrilled to be joined on the RSA show floor by Chris Hickman and Ted Shorter from Keyfactor. Gentlemen, welcome to the Thales Security Sessions podcast on the go.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
So a lot of conversation around RSA this year is about the urgency of post-quantum readiness. From your perspective, how prepared are organisations really for PQC migration, and what are the biggest gaps you're seeing as we move towards large-scale adoption? Ted?
Sure. I'd say it's uneven. So we have some customers who are really leaning in, actually standing up post-quantum PKI in labs and so forth to start doing interop testing. They're submitting questionnaires to vendors on their quantum roadmaps because you can't transition until the rest of your supply chain does as well. And so we see some in certain verticals, like government and finance and telco, leaning in heavily. We see others that are really not paying as much attention to it. So I think the preparedness is kind of all over the map at this point.
Yeah, and I would agree with that, and I've seen the same things, of course, Ted. But there is still a lot of work to be done across a lot of industries and verticals that are housing sensitive information. We're just starting now to sort of see a trend in healthcare where they're starting to ask those questions. We're starting to see some of those trends through critical infrastructure, power grid suppliers, things of the sort. But they're quite a bit behind, and they're really starting to think about the problem now versus in some of the things that Ted mentioned, they're starting to take action now, which is a big difference.
So with RSA spotlighting the power of community, how important is it to have cross-industry collaboration with vendors, governments, researchers, and accelerating to a secure transition to post-quantum cryptography?
Yeah, it's extremely important. I mean, as I mentioned, like first of all, anyone in your supply chain that makes anything that communicates on a network, their quantum roadmap effectively is yours. So for that piece, we also certainly, Keyfactor with great partners like Thales, we've been working for a long time to make sure all of our stuff interoperates together very carefully. But I think we're also getting to a point like it's getting real. Like in 2026, you're going to see more and more vendors that are actually releasing capabilities in their general available products that do have quantum capabilities. And so we're starting to get questions on best practices and things like that. Or like, how do I transition? What algorithms should I use? What formats should I use? Should I run two PKIs at the same time? Should I do, composite? Should I do hybrid? There's a lot more, sort of people really looking for real advice. And I think that's another place where the industry collaborating and so forth can try to make sure that we're kind of communicating with one voice as to what some of the best practices of doing this might be.
And the reality for a lot of organizations is their entire ecosystem has codependencies, and therefore collaboration absolutely has to exist. We've seen this sort of through verticals. Finance, for instance, has their PQC forums that they work and share ideas. But at the end of the day, no organization can go at this solely alone and silo themselves, because at some point in time they are communicating with outside organizations. As Ted mentioned, the supply chain needs to be tight in order for it to be successful. And therefore, collaboration is an absolute must. And when we can all learn as a community, we tend to do better at these things than when we try to do them individually.
Great. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Some great insight into a technology that is moving ever closer to full reality mode, presented by some of the experts attending the Thales PQC Palooza event. Links to profiles of the people interviewed are available in the show notes. And remember, if you like what you hear, not just our on-the-floor reports, but also our more structured interviews, be sure to subscribe and tell a friend about the Thales Security Sessions podcast. You can also join the conversation on LinkedIn and follow us on Instagram. Links for these are in the show notes as well. We will be back again soon with another episode and another discussion on the topics that you need to know about to successfully carry on in the business of information security. Until then, on behalf of Liz Kelly, I'm Steve Prentice. Thanks for listening.